Okay, so you can see here I've got this ground floor view open, but I'm just going to show you the duplicate views that I have. So the ground floor with the drawing, I've already inserted my AutoCAD drawing, and then I have a duplicate of the site view as well, which has my site plan inserted. And the most important aspect there is that I have these reference planes, which I've drawn over the boundary of my site, and I've used those to line up the drawing of my ground floor and also check the scale and make sure that is matching my site plan. And so now in any of those views I can draw my Revit objects and know that I've got a common reference point for all of them. So I'm just going to start with walls and draw them over the top of the floor plan. But if you don't have your AutoCAD drawing, you can obviously just go and draw the walls straight in without tracing over anything. So I'll again click on the wall tool there, going to the properties palette to set the type, and that's usually your first decision, deciding on the size of the wall. And actually I'll just show you here, if you want to check measurements as you're doing this, that's fine. You can use the measure button there, and so I can see there that my walls are 300, so again I can just use the wall type there, generic 300 mil to start with, and for now I'll just use that one and then set the other properties. So the height is definitely something you could always think about when you start any wall, and I'm going to set that up to the only level I have, which is at the moment level 1. And then my location line I'm going to set to the side I want, which is finished face exterior. So when you're thinking about the location line, don't think about the direction you want the wall to go, whether you want it to go left or right, like it would when you're using justification in Word. It can seem that way. I'll just draw a little bit. Okay, so with finished face exterior, it'll go to the right. With finished face interior, it's going to the left. But it's actually setting the sides. So if I was to do it this way, it still wouldn't be right because I'm doing the interior face of my wall on the edge of that building, on the outside edge. And you don't want that. So the way to think about the location line is think about the side of the building you're drawing on, whether you're drawing on the exterior or the interior face of your wall. And then just draw over the edge you want. So here, I want to start from this corner. I want it to go up this way. So Revit's not giving me the wall on the side that I want, but like a lot of things in Revit, have a look at the status bar down here. It'll tell you that you can use spacebar to flip. So press spacebar, you can flip the wall as you go. So you can make it face whichever direction you want, and that way you can then just decide whether it is the interior face or the exterior face that you're tracing, essentially. So here, I'll trace the exterior face all the way out to the corner. Notice it's trying to draw a straight wall for me, and my line is at a little bit of an angle. And the trick there is to press Tab so that it'll snap or cycle through the different snapping options you've got. So I'm just pressing Tab again and again, and you can see it's giving me all these different snapping options. When I get the one that I want, which is endpoint with the square, I'll click. It's telling me the wall's slightly off the axis, which might cause inaccuracies, but that's actually what I wanted. Okay, so I could then just continue drawing my walls, tracing over the edge here. So I'll do that for now. I'm not worrying about the columns just yet. And then I could obviously just trace down to here, and again, it wouldn't hurt to use Tab if you're not sure if it's snapping to something that you want it to. But I'm just going to cancel this one and just show you. If I do finish face interior, I could draw on the inside face of the wall. Again, it's going on the wrong side, but I can use space to flip it, and that'll give me the same result. So it doesn't matter if you draw with the inside face of your wall or the outside or the exterior face, as long as you know which side you're drawing on, and know hopefully that you can flip as you go, or even after you've drawn the wall. So you can always select the wall, like I have there, and use that arrow to flip it after you've made it, or change the location line over here in properties. Right, so I'll go ahead and draw some of these other main walls in, and I'll adjust some of the ones I've done already. So with that wall selected, you get the grips, which you can use to stretch any of your walls, just like AutoCAD. So I'll just stretch this back to the right, somewhere around here. You can see I'm having trouble seeing my AutoCAD lines now under the Revit things that I'm drawing. So I'm going to go to wireframe in this view now, which will make things see-through, but I've still got this, it's called the coarse shading. And to turn that off, you can set the view to fine as well, just next to wireframe, and then it will be properly see-through. So then I can see really clearly where this wall needs to go to, and I can draw some more walls. So back to wall, and so now I've got some internal walls, and actually I better just check the thickness of those. It should be 100, but I'll check, 150. Okay, so I don't have a 150mm wall in my list there. Right, so I'm going to make a new one just by going to Edit Type, and then duplicate. I can give a new wall name, so I'm just going to call this generic 150mm wall. Edit next to the structure, and you'll get the thickness, and all I'm going to do there is change that again to that thickness, 150. So I'll finish up in a minute, but I'll just do a couple more walls, show you a few more things. Okay, so I've got the lines drawn in AutoCAD. So I can continue tracing them the way I have been, and I'll just do that maybe for this wall. And is that wall not 150? That might be a different one. Oh, that's a 200. So I'll do this one instead. So, like I was saying, I can continue tracing them, but if you have lines drawn in AutoCAD, you can always use, instead of the line tool, you can use things like pick lines in the draw panel, and just pick things directly, which will turn them into walls. So I can pick, again, this one. It doesn't like that one, so let's just try it the other way. Yeah. And notice I'm stretching the walls so they go over the openings. So you need to be thinking in 3D. Even though I'm obviously drawing on my floor plan, you need to be thinking what's happening above and below, because everything has a height. And so in this case, where we've got a door opening there, you need to remember that there'll always be a wall head above that door. So the way you'd make a door in Revit is to put the wall in first, and then you'll come back and add the doors afterwards. So always take your walls over your openings, and that is, going to make your life much easier. So maybe just draw a couple more walls in, and then I'll give you some time to try these. But oops. Again, try and use the simplest walls that you can. So here these generic walls are all nice simple walls. You might think it's easy, or will make it easier for you to use these walls like double brick and brick veneer if you think that's what you might be using in the end. But thanks. But even if you are, I'd recommend you don't use those at first, because for your projects you only need to have concept level drawings or presentation style drawings. So you don't want to show the construction. Even if it is double brick, you only want to show it with the wall thickness. So keep it simple. Yep.
I wonder if the floor plan you can change different colours, because
oh, you can.
The floor plan is black, and
yes.
if you throw in a black colour,
Yeah, sure, you can, absolutely. So I'll do that in a moment. So, so here though, just so you can see, I'll look at the structure of that wall, and you can see that it has a lot more in it, and so you have to contend with all those different elements when you're drawing those more detailed walls. So I've just drawn a few walls there, but I'll show you in 3D what this is looking like now. You can see there it's only showing me the Revit things, and so it's a good way of managing it when you have the view set up like this with the AutoCAD things by themselves, and you can even have the floor plans then separate in AutoCAD, also separate in Revit. So to manage, if you want to change that AutoCAD line work, just a little thing, if you go into the view properties, so it's, it's in properties, when you have nothing selected, it should say floor plan or whatever the view is that you have. And then if you go down to visibility graphics, edit, and then under imported categories, you'll find the layers from your AutoCAD project or AutoCAD file. So mine should be on, I think mostly my lines are on this layer here. So I'm going to go to override and then change the color there to something else. And that does help. So let's see, what do we want? Yeah, maybe grey, yeah. Oh, yeah. So you can always manage those layers in Revit. You can always do it back in AutoCAD as well. So two different ways. Oh, and look, one just little thing that I really want to point out. With the views, you can see there, I've actually left the views the way they are when you first start. So the elevations are in that sort of cross pattern. But I've at least tried to get the AutoCAD lines and everything else centered roughly within those. But then you can see if I grab the section line, I can now bring that out so that it's the size I want. I'll get that elevation as well. But they're a bit tricky because you've got this arrowhead and then you've got to hold down control to get the circle as well. There's actually two objects there that you need. And I'm going to use the arrows on the keyboard to move those away from the building. Or in this case, with the one at the top, I'll select them with a window. So I've got the two there. You see over here, it's selected two objects. And I'll move them, or move those two closer to the building. And maybe over to the left as well. And I'm just using the arrows here on the keyboard for that. So same with this elevation. Well, this elevation isn't really going to be used in the end for my project because this is a party wall. So any party walls, still keep the elevation because it'll be useful for you when you're working. It's a really helpful thing to be able to look at that wall. There's not much there at the moment, but later on it will, trust me, it will help. And so you might think it's just extra work at the beginning, but it's just to make your life easier as you're working. It helps if you can have side views like this, so you can just quickly look at the front, the back, left and right side without having to play around and make sure that it's showing you the things that you've drawn. So anyhow, just as you've got the basic setup under control, then obviously you can keep going putting in the walls in. So I'll just quickly put a couple more in. So again, as you have your different wall thicknesses, you can see here, you don't need to set them each time. You'll be able to choose them from the list. So the 150 that I made there. And again, when you think that the walls should continue through, like here where I've got a column, try and stretch them through so that they're as connected as possible. Try and think about what's happening with the windows and as well as the doors. So here, oops, I'll just draw that wall. So that's a 200 wall. Okay, so here where the wall is finished face exterior. Okay, where the wall goes in between the door and the window here, according to this floor plan, again thinking about what's happening in 3D, then you realise that the door would need to go, sorry, the wall would need to go over the top of that door. So stretch that across. And then also, it really would most likely go over the top of this window as well. So again, you can just stretch that all the way across. And later on, come back and add the window there. And again, stretching it probably just all the way across here. So rather than having a series of walls, it's much better to have just one wall where you can, all the way across there. And you can see that they'll join automatically in many cases. And we'll just finally, I'll show you what to do if they don't join automatically. With internal walls like this, it doesn't really matter which side you put the exterior or the interior face on. It's a 150. Okay, so I'll just draw that last wall at the bottom. Yep. Okay, so these walls I really want to join at the corner. So I've just stretched that one out deliberately so you can see what happens with trim, because it's probably going to be one of your most useful commands at first when you are editing your walls. And so with this trim to corner, it works just like fillet in AutoCAD, fillet with a 0 radius, right, which you use to join things quite often, join lines and things to make a corner. So here I want to join this wall to the one below, and you can see that it shows you the way that it goes. This is what gives people trouble with trim, not knowing which way the wall or which side to choose. Right, so if I choose the side that I want to lose, I want to take this part away. But if I choose it there, that's the side it'll keep. Okay, so I don't want that, I'll undo that. I'll just do trim again. So again, choosing the first wall, there's no choice to make there because it can only extend. But this one, it can go left or right. So I've got to make sure I choose it on the left-hand side, and it'll show you, that dashed line shows me the way it's going to trim. Right, and I can do the same over here. Again, there's no real decision to make there because it's extending. So just think about that when a wall has to be, or something has to be cut back. Think about the direction that it would trim. And otherwise, it should be pretty straightforward drawing in your walls. But then, like I said, that was going to be the last thing, but I will show you the levels just so you can see there at the moment. I haven't thought too much about the heights, and at first you won't need to, as long as you're only working on the one level. But if you're going to go and do different stories, you will need to think about the heights, and that's actually what I'll do in the next video anyway. So I'll just finish that recording there.